Welcome back to the Night Shift, your safe space for talking about UFOs, UAPs, NHI, disclosure, and everything else your friends, family, and coworkers are so sick and tired of hearing you go on and on about.
Hey guys, oh, that's weird. That sounds wrong. Hold on. Let me turn a dial. Hey guys, I'm growing it back out. And it's just, that's where it is. I need a hat. That's why I usually wear the hat. Great to see everybody. It's 1:06 p.m. on the East Coast. It's members only Wednesday, which, if I remember right, is actually a setting that I have to change. So bear with me while I set that setting up. Great to see everybody. Big room today. How's everyone doing? Here we go. All right, bear with me 1 second. No sleeves, mustache. People keep asking me about the no sleeves thing. Let me just explain it to you again. And it's literally the most comfortable shirt there is. Like, I don't know what they did with this cotton. I don't know. Like, this is a, oh man, what's Bella and Canvas is the name of the company that manufactures these shirts. And, it's just the perfect weight. It's the perfect amount of stretch. It's just a great shirt. And I also live in Florida, which is basically the tropics. So it's about 150 degrees and 90% humidity for about 6 months out of the year. And if you must know, I'm also doing shit around the house. I'm getting ready to paint. I'm like pressure washing everything. So I'm in and out. I got a lot going on. So this is the most convenient. And it's the uniform, man. It's the uniform. It's the uniform. It's laid back. It's easy to move in. I can switch tasks easily from one thing to the next. It's comfortable. If it's 100 degrees outside, it's awesome. And yeah, there's just all these reasons why. A lot of sun in Florida. It's sunny here all the time. Brian Jackson knows what I'm talking about. Bell and Canvas. Yeah, there you go, Brian. Exactly. They're great. You just wear it too well. We all notice. Well, this is why I had to also focus on shoulders and arms. Like, I can't skip that anymore. I used to be really lazy about it. I'm not anymore. So it's all a self-reinforcing feedback loop of, well, I'm only half joking when I say this. A big part of my approach to building this channel, and this is for any other creative person out there, I'm sure you have something similar, or you have your own way, but this will seem familiar to you. You've got to you have to create it in your mind first, right? You have to have at least a vision or a direction or an idea or some kind of. There's got to be some motivating force that really gets the idea underway. And then it's once you have some momentum, it's so much easier to build on that momentum than it is to start over and start fresh. So it's all about what I found anyway, at least in my career as a creative person, is it's about tiny refinements over time, small corrections, small mistakes, little things that you can adjust as you go, and showing up every day and doing the work, right? Doing the thing. And trying to find, and also actively deconstructing what you're doing and try to find ways to refine your process, because really the process is the product in a sense. So as I do that, and I've talked about this before, this is since it's members only Wednesday, I'll talk about it here. One thing that I did it this morning. I try to do it every day. I'm not always great at it, but meditate for 15 to 20 minutes and just kind of not necessarily like a manifestation kind of a meditation, but more of like a consciousness coherence meditation, if I can call it that. I don't know what you would call it. Maybe I don't know. There's all these different ways that people do it, but for me, it's more about just having some time in a absolutely quiet room with no lights on, where there's just no anything, and I'm kind of in my gravity chair, just sort of hanging out early in the morning. And I find that when I do that, the clarity comes, and then you get insights and ideas and inspiration into things you can do. And that's how I do it. It's one of the ways. And so as I was launching the channel and I was starting to build it, it was always on my mind. I was thinking about it every day. It was something I spent a lot of time, a lot of energy invested into it. I'm still like that. I still get up at 4:30 in the morning. The first thing I'm doing in the morning is working on night shift. The last thing I'm doing at the end of my day is working on night shift, thinking about it. What can we do next month, next year? More on that coming up. And as I'm doing it, I'm realizing that having that meditative practice built into your day, built into your week, your routine, and then doing the work, applying the effort and the energy, right? Like all that manifestation stuff, it works if you work, right? So you have to push the craft forward, right? You have to put the energy into it. And then once you start doing that, synchronicities start happening. And I figured out somewhere along the way that if I worked symbolism into my own routine and I just kept reinforcing it as I was trying to refine that meditative practice, one of the things I figured out was I wake up in the morning, and when I meditate, I drink coffee to meditate. So I put the name of the show on the cup, and then I'm drinking my coffee from, it's like a symbolic representation of the thing I'm trying to manifest. And by somehow like making that little thing real, then it leads to the next thing and to the next thing and to the next thing. This is a very long and roundabout way of saying one of the reasons I wear this shirt all the time is because it's like a uniform. I just put it on. I'm at work. I'm at the office, even though I'm also pressure washing the driveway, which is also part of the office. So it's a virtuous cycle. All right. That's enough of that. But that's some BTS stuff that you might not know. Also, hey, quick, huge shout out to all of our members. Thank you for being here. This is your live stream. This is for you. We have a bunch of new members that just joined in the last few days. Jason Turnbull, Long Way Around, Luminescent Tides, Bradicus, Mythosaur, Kelly Hall, Polarity Josh. Hey, Polarity. Hey, Josh. We need to get you on the show, man, to figure out when you're going to be in the right time zone. Eddie Fong, who else? Sonia Maria, Perfectly Imperfect, Darnell, Pisco, cool name, Rusty Bot, Geek 8547D, David Pratt, Lisa Freeman. There are too many to name, but all of you, welcome aboard. It's great to have you. And also a huge shout out to Anthony H., who has been a member of Team Night Shift for 28 months. Dude, I salute you. That is amazing. Stephanie Ism, Brett Higgins, Teresa Bailey, Thistle's Last Stand, Kendra Zoa 958, Dr. Arfuz, paging Dr. Arfuz, Alminius, J.K. Christopher, Cardboard Aficionado, Heather Willow 1, Chris Hovord. How are you, sir? I haven't seen you in so long. Fight Trader, Avi Zanu, Brian Jackson is here tonight. He's in the chat right now. The Brian Jackson. KT9495, Prickly G, all of you guys have been members since the beginning. So thank you for doing that, and thank you for making this all possible. We had our first Patreon call a week ago, more or less, and it was awesome. We have some amazing people over on Patreon. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who are in the special projects division tier on our Patreon. You guys are making it possible for me to open up the scope of projects that we're working on to include a lot of other things that are going to pay off in a huge way in the near future. This is a very cagey way of saying we've got some cool stuff coming. Hang in there. But we had a great call. I got to talk to everybody. We got to meet face to face. It was just cool to connect with everyone, ask questions, find out who you guys are, and get to know you a little bit, and then to talk about just some of the things that we're planning for Contact in the Desert, which is coming up. I just got the reminder of my flight. It popped up on my screen about 3 hours ago. When we're there, what do you want to know? Who do you want us to try to talk to? What are you interested in finding out? If we can be there for you, what can we do? How can we put you in the middle of the action and in a way that makes it fun and exciting? So that was the kind of conversation, sort of the thrust of the discussion that we were having. And one of the things that I'm trying to do with the channel as we continue to grow is bring people into that tier who feel compelled to, if you want to do more than just be a member or just buy a bag of coffee, although those are wonderful things to do. If you want to be involved in a little bit more direct way, that is an avenue to do that. And it just gives us a controlled environment where I can once a month sit down and have a conference call with this group. And I field ideas with these guys. We're going to be talking about plans for the show, projects, and getting feedback and input on early stuff before anybody else sees it. So it's a really exciting thing. If you're interested, you can go to our Patreon and check us out there. All right. What else? Contact in the Desert's coming up. Very excited. Had a great meeting with those guys yesterday. Spoke with their media PR person who is in charge of handling all of the media interface between creators and reporters and journalists and writers that are going to be in attendance at the event, and the actual people who are speaking and presenting during the event. We had a great call. It's good. I'm very excited. I know who I'm going to be talking to. I don't want to say any names yet in case things change, but I've got a preliminary list of people that we're going to be speaking to in person, and it's pretty awesome. And then there are some other folks that are going to be there that we just know through the network that we're going to be hanging with off-site probably, and we'll be doing some live streams and hopefully rope some of those people into it as well. So the goal is going to be, instead of doing like one huge thing at the end of the week, do a lot of smaller check-ins throughout the day during the week so that you guys can get a sense of what it is that's going on. And of course, all of this is contingent on the rules of the road once we're there, and what we can and can't film. There are some restrictions. There's some things that we are not allowed to do, and we've got all that worked out. So we'll be going in with a pretty cool team. I'm very excited. We have a great team. Pavel's driving up. I believe his wife's coming with him. I haven't met his wife, so I'm excited to meet her. It's going to be a really great group. And Mr. Justin's going to be there. Of course, myself, Dan Zander, and a few other people that you might recognize. So, we're very excited about that. Stoned Avenger 5004, member for 16 months. Hey, man, thanks for being a Stoned Avenger member. That's great. 16 months as a member, but still haven't seen a UAP. There are no guarantees here. There are no guarantees. By the way, I have to hang on. Check my notes here. If you're watching, I'm supposed to give a huge shout out to Jules and the Sasquatch fan club. I hope you see this. Jules and the Sasquatch fan club sounds like a great name for a band, and I hope that you take that into consideration. If it's not already, it should be. Yeah, no guarantees on UAP sightings. I have seen, I've had one sighting since I started the channel. One that I'm really sure was weird, absolutely weird. Another that I've seen a couple of times, but I don't quite know what I'm looking at. I'm pretty sure it's a satellite, but I can't quite be sure. Lights moving around. It's really hard to know what you're looking at anymore. Planet Funky Virgo, are you attending Contact in the Desert? Sadly, I am not. I am. We are. The whole night shift away team. We're sending a night shift away team to Contact. So one of the other things that we're talking about doing, and this is just something I mentioned before, one aspect of this type of coverage that I'm trying to enhance by virtue of our approach to this material is to go to more of these events and be on the ground there so that you guys can get a front row experience and to show you in a way that is accepting of the phenomenon, understands the reality of it, and approaches it with the respect that the topic deserves. Not in a newsy way, but in a relatable human way. And I think that there is a missing chunk of the media ecosystem where that could live. And there's a place there. It doesn't exist yet. And I want to build that. And one of the ways that we can build it is partly by you guys participating in that process and supporting it and helping us define what that looks like and grow the community. Ultimately, it's about growing the community. But you can also help by telling us what it is that you're interested in knowing. What kinds of things are you curious about? Where are your areas of interest vis-a-vis the phenomenon or cryptids, or should how big does that bubble get for you, and where does it get interesting? Those kinds of things are really helpful. But if we can, over the next year or 18 months, what I would like to do is get into a situation where we're able to send out the night shift away team much more frequently to more and better places. Not better, but like more places. So for instance, there are about 100 sites that I can pull up in about 2 seconds in Peru that would be amazing to visit, that include all kinds of weird, bizarre, historical backgrounds and strange sightings all the way up to present day. Stuff even in Lima, in Barranco, they have sightings like almost every day. I mean, people there have like tattoos of aliens and UFOs on their arms. Like, it's just such a common thing. You can go stand there on the coast and watch. So to be able to go there and document these places and go with a group and do it in a way that actually maybe includes some people from the community, I think that could be really interesting. So it's all kind of loose right now. This is something that, we're talking to a few different potential partners who might be able to collaborate on this. And I don't know. I have a good feeling that exciting things are in store. So that's my long-winded way of saying, stick with us, hang in there. It's more than just a Friday show. It's more than just the Wednesday show. It's more than just the videos. It's the Night Shift Army. So, yeah, stick with us. We got some interesting things on the way. Japan has entered the chat. Yes, I saw that. Catching up on that. We're going to talk about that on Friday's show. Some clips from Richard Dolan and Andy from That UFO podcast on Al Jazeera yesterday. Neil deGrasse Tyson was just on MS Now yesterday. and he had on Morning Joe a whole segment, about an 8-minute segment, and he talked about well, I don't know, he kind of pivots a little bit on this release of UFO and UAP documents, and he sort of, I don't know, it looks like he's starting to pivot a little bit on the, I don't want to say reality, but it's becoming visibly more difficult for him to publicly say with a straight face that there is no there in light of all of the activity around the UFO UAP subject. And this is really the main thing I want to talk about today. I have another clip I want to share with you a little bit later on, but as we get into this, I hope they don't give me a hard time for sharing this clip, but I'm going to share it. And let's take a look together. Where is it? We are looking for... Bear with me, guys. I have to find the right tab here, and I have about 100 tabs. We should be prepared, is what he says. We should be prepared. Here we go. Okay, take a look at this. Let's watch it together. Now, it starts with a clip of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones from Men in Black, which I'm not going to share that part for obvious reasons. But here, when we actually get into the clip, listen to how Neil talks about the subject, the way he kind of reframes it now.
Administration this week piqued that curiosity with its release of previously confidential Pentagon files on UFOs. And our next guest is preparing alien enthusiasts with a practical guide for dealing with potential visitors from outer space. News you can use. Joining us now, renowned astrophysicist and best-selling author Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's out today with a new book titled Take Me to Your Leader: Perspectives on Your First Alien Encounter. Neil, great to see you. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being here. I'm just going to read your own words on the back of the book so readers know what to expect when they pick this up. Think of Take Me to Your Leader as a book of etiquette for close encounters, or perhaps a scientifically infused user's manual with helpful hints from an astrophysicist who wants to meet the aliens as badly as you do.
That's me, right there.
Okay. So far, so good. It gets better, but then it gets worse. See if you can follow along. Tell me what you think about this.
So tell me, do you write this book because you think that encounter is imminent?
Well, it's been gurgling up within me, and because alien sightings or UFO sightings have transitioned really over the past several years from the farmer seeing it on his back 40 and drunken revelers at 2 a.m. when the bar closes. You get these reports and you say, I don't know how we should believe those. Right on up to, in recent years, testimonies in Congress by insiders and former military officials and security, people in the security sectors of our government, reporting on things that we either don't understand or that they believe they do, such as alien body parts, crashed saucers, reversed engineering of their technologies. So I'm thinking, okay, it's time to bring out the alien. So why not? And so if they bring out the alien, or if an alien does arrive, we should be prepared for that. And this is a primer for you.
You're right. It's not just a sighting.
All right. So far, I'm still here for it. This is, he's acknowledging the change in tone in media coverage because he really has no choice at this point. I mean, you've had, the sitting president, the previous previous president, a former senator, and Secretary of State, and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, all within a few days of each other, all acknowledging it openly, in a serious way. It's at this stage, it's really on it's on you to explain as a non-believer how this is not happening, how there is no there. I think that's for me anyway. The burden of proof has shifted in this conversation. If you say there is absolutely no there, you've got to explain away about a million very, very bizarre, strange pieces of information that have just dropped in the last few years. And that's to say nothing of what's coming and what's right around the corner, which we are to believe, if we are listening to voices like David Grush, who has recently spoken on this issue, should be pretty eye-opening. And he seems very serious, and he seems also very he's very calm about it. He says it in a very confident way. Serious is like maybe too strong of a word, but the confidence in the way that he says it, just like, look, give it 90 days, give it 60 to 90 days, and then you're going to see. We've heard this stuff before, but we've heard a lot of things before. David Grush, he stands out among people who have spoken on this topic, and he has a very unique spot in the pantheon of whistleblowers. So in terms of people I pay attention to, he is one for sure. Let's go back and see how Neil fucks this up. I'm being hard on Neil here, but tell me what you think.
Is on dashboard cameras in Russia anymore. It seems to have a little more credibility. Even former President Obama recently said something that suggested that he knew that we were not alone in the universe. He had to kind of walk it back.
So he's scientifically literate. So when he says, yeah, surely they're aliens, he's saying what we had told him in the astrophysics community. You do the math. You look at how old the universe is, the ingredients of life, how quickly life got started on Earth. It'd be irresponsible. It would be an overstretch of your ego to presume we're alone.
So let me ask you, what did you think of the material that the Pentagon just did release?
Oh, so I enjoyed going back to those early typewritten letters from 1947, describing in very flat terms, not, no hyperbole. We found this. What do you think of that? Let's talk about this. Let's keep it under wraps. And it's just fun to get a little bit of history there. But again, it was consistent with testimonies we've already heard in Congress. There's nothing new there, no shockers that we couldn't have extrapolated from what was already told.
So Neil, your book includes.
Okay, so now he's tamping it down a little bit. He's saying, look, there is something there. I can't act like there's not something there. I mean, for Christ's sake, Barack Obama's talking about it now. Like, I'm going to look like a fucking asshole if I keep going down this road, banging my head against that wall. So I've got to give a little bit. This is how I'm reading it anyway. All right, there's a there, but I haven't seen anything that's really changed my mind just yet. Fine. That's okay. That's progress. I'll take it. And to be fair, I haven't seen anything that's really blown up my skirt just yet. So when I do, you'll be the first to know. But as far as my early hot take on what's been released to date, wait and see. I mean, the NDAA Disclosure Act legislation that was originally submitted in the first round, when that piece of legislation was originally put forward, there was a very specific, detailed, organized, structured way of not only reviewing information to determine if it was worthy of its classification level, like if it had been misclassified because of one of a million different reasons. There was a process in place for that. There was a process in place for deciding if things needed to be or could be reclassified or declassified and move through an ecosystem. And then the way that legislation spelled out the final phase, that information would basically go before a board of scientists and experts in various fields. I think I want to say it was 9. It was like a 9-person board. It was like 6 or 9. I think it was like 9 people. From all disciplines. Astrophysics was one, physicist, sociologist, anthropologist, whatever the list was. But there was basically a process for the president to recommend a certain group of people, and then Congress could approve them, and then Congress could recommend certain people, and the president had to sign off on them. So it was this whole process, okay? And you can go back and read this. I've got my copy of this printed out behind me. But in the end, it boiled down to this panel of experts that were going to be pulled from the civilian world. They could have no ties. This was actually written into the law. They had no ties to aerospace companies. They had to have absolutely pristine, clean connections so that they could represent a neutral, impartial group. And then they were to review all of this information and then publish it through the National Archives into a compendium that would be accessible not only through the public library system and on the websites, but it would be free information available for everybody. And that process would have been overseen by Congress. So the congressional oversight was built into this plan from the beginning. Now, that legislation famously did not pass. It got butchered, and then it got passed in bits and pieces later. And of course, none of that stuff happened. But the reason I'm reminding you of this is because it didn't pass. Now what we're seeing is this weird sort of ad hoc, last minute sort of, I don't know what the hell this is. Like, it's like anything else in this administration. It's just one guy deciding go, and then everybody scrambles to figure out what go means, and then they have to go do it. And that is progress. It's not a bad thing. I am genuinely excited to see what comes next. I am of the wait and see mentality regarding this information and these drops. But the critical factor here is that there's no declaration from the Defense Department, the Pentagon, or any of the branches of the armed services. There's no declaration as to what any of this shit is. And the question that we're really trying to answer here as both researchers and enthusiasts and members of the community, I think at the heart of it, if you really get right down to what we're all here for, is it or isn't it? Are we or aren't we? You're the ones with the $1 trillion defense budget. You're the ones with all of the most sophisticated sensor technology that is available to the human race. I'm talking about the Pentagon and the intelligence community. Like, you guys have the answer. We need to know that. A bunch of loose pictures and documents that have been fished out of filing cabinets from 60 years ago is, as interesting as that is, it is a distraction from the much, much, much more detailed reams of information, which must include video, audio, crystal clear photos. And I'm talking about photos and video from inside craft, actually inside an operational craft. Like, these things do exist. They are out there somewhere on some classified server. Without a mechanism of knowing even who has what information, it's really hard to understand how you would begin to dissect a giant squid organism like this. And it's harder for me to imagine. It's harder for me to imagine how you would even know if any information you're getting, what it means without an explanation, right? Like, so just dumping information into the public sphere and hoping people will, come to their own conclusions, or allowing people to come to their own conclusions, is not addressing the core issue here. It looks like disclosure, but it's not. Disclosure is like you're disclosing the knowledge that this is real. Okay, what does real mean? These are real non-humans. This is a craft built by non-humans. How do we know? Because we took it the fuck apart and we got the guys that were inside, and they're in tanks now, floating at some place out at Groom Lake, or I don't know. We liquidated them into a goo and set them on fire. Whatever we do, someone is in our military industrial complex. Someone has the job of, here come 6 little grays that came off of a crash disk. What are we going to do with them? Do you throw them in the ocean? Do you send them to a furnace? Like, what do you do with those? Where do they go on ice? My point is, what I'm driving at here is that, like, what we've seen so far, to me, is the equivalent of bank robbers throwing like a bunch of ones out the window to like blind the cops who are chasing them down the road so that they just get distracted and can't find out where they're going. And meanwhile, like, the real meat and potatoes is getting away here. So I would say let's wait and see, but keep the pressure on. Now, I'm not done with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Let's go back to Neil, and then we'll revisit this in just a second. Stick with me, guys. And by the way, there's 375 of you in here. God bless you. Thanks for being here. It is awesome to have somebody on a Wednesday in the middle of the afternoon. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, hit the like button, please. Just doing that literally sends a little signal to the algorithm to push this live stream out to more people's feeds. And if enough of you do it, we can watch the audience count go up in real time. And it's a fun game that we can all play that eventually helps this channel become financially sustainable, which is the key word. I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, thanks, guys. Let's go back to Neil, and then we'll.
Tips and tricks for if the reader ever finds themselves in an alien encounter, and you write in part this: if an alien approaches you with multiple appendages, one of which looks like an extend hand, resist grabbing and shaking it. You don't know in advance what part of the alien's anatomy you just touched, and you probably don't want to find out. Furthermore, the handshake is not even a worldwide custom, so it's surely not universal. Nor do you know if raising your hand in a high gesture can be constructed as an act of kindness or aggression. And what if the alien chooses to greet you the way Earth dogs greet each other, and it simply wants to come around and sniff your butt? You don't know anything about your new friend's customs, so on a first encounter, it's probably a good idea to leave all your habits at home until you learn a thing or two about theirs. We laughed along with that.
Want to read the audiobook?
Yeah, because
Well, fuck you, Neil. What is that? Come on, man. You have every opportunity here to take this seriously. Like, they're giving you an off-ramp. You've got an off-ramp here. Use it. Take the fucking off-ramp. Treat it seriously. It is serious. I think he has demonstrated just so far, just this little giggle fest that he's having here in this whole bit about, like, well, you don't know what appendage you're shaking. Well, duh. No shit, Sherlock. Of course. Like, do you think there are no PhDs in the UFO nerd community? Do you think there are no biologists or anthropologists or psychologists? Like, this whole fucking world is made up of people who are absolutely top tier in their various fields, and they take it seriously. They find a way. Knowing what they know and with the training that they have, they understand that there is enough of a there that it is worthy of investigation, and it's at the very least, it's worthy of your curiosity and not your ridicule. And it's just a shame to me that every time he has the opportunity to take it seriously, he just fucking doesn't. But maybe that's the point. I don't know Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't have any connection to this guy, and I don't want to, say for sure that, he's on anybody's payroll, but he behaves, in my view, as someone who is being compensated to be on television and ridicule this topic. Now, whether that compensation is financial or whether it is in some other form in terms of, like, maybe just projects you want to do that get green lit, and then suddenly you're able to lock in deals that you wouldn't otherwise lock in. I don't know. And this is just my sense. I don't know this. So, who am I? I'm just a guy, right? So, however, it seems to me that if you're a young kid who dreams of being an astrophysicist or an astronaut or an astronomer, or just having anything to do with frontier science or space exploration, how many among us have been that kid at one point in our lives? and you're looking out at the possibilities, and the whole world out there is open to you. And hopefully, if you're that curious and open-minded and excited about the world, I can't imagine how you wouldn't be a voracious science fiction fan. So, like, how are you not bursting with curiosity about this topic? Here you have a world full of people who are telling you, and he even said it at the top of the show, these aren't just, in the beginning, when Neil is kind of recounting, well, in the old days, the only sightings we had were like goofy farmers and, people who weren't that reliable, which is not true. That's not true at all. There have been highly, highly credible sightings by military trained observers, pilots, intelligence professionals, like people who know what they're talking about for as long as this topic has been under discussion. Airline pilots, people who have spent tens of thousands of hours in the air for one reason or another doing whatever it is, that, they know what they're looking at. And for him to act like this all just started, the serious conversation just started a few years ago when, pilots started coming forward saying they were seeing this on maneuvers and it was leaking to the New York Times. That's a real, he's really late to the game, and he's showing like he has done no work on understanding the history of this topic. And then to jump forward and say, well, so now I'm going to write a book and I'm going to ride the wave of enthusiasm around the subject, but my book is going to basically be poking fun at it in a way by assuming, I guess, from its tone. I haven't read it, but I would love to read it and just report back to you. And I might be wrong, but just from the tone that they're showing on this MS Now clip, it's demonstrating that there is a misunderstanding about what people are claiming is actually happening within this community. He has like his idea of what ufology is and what the people who are interested in this topic are. He is thinking about it like it's a 12-year-old's idea of what this is. Actually, I think at 12, I had a better picture of what was going on than he does now. But it's like it's a childlike idea. It's an undeveloped, under-researched, misunderstood, misinterpreted take on what he's assuming people are thinking, and that's what he's leading with. So let's finish out this segment, and then we'll.
Really good. So what do you do?
Well, so I have a whole chapter on how you might take first steps. Okay. By the way, Obama recently said that he wanted to be the emissary of Earth to aliens.
It's a good choice.
Well, because he's a diplomat and he's a politician, and I think if the aliens want to lay waste to Earth, you need a diplomat in there to try to not have that happen. But if they don't, because the evil alien trope, I think, is primarily our fears of ourselves hoisted upon them, because we know how we treat one another when it's a more advanced part of our civilization encountering a less advanced. They're enslaved, they're slaughtered, they're persecuted. List whatever the history of civilization has done, what we have done to ourselves. So if the alien is not evil, then we don't really need a politician, you need a scientist. And so I describe a kit you should carry with you, a little science kit, like the Pythagorean theorem. Mm-hmm. That would be literally universal, and you show geometrically with a triangle and square. The periodic table of elements, they won't recognize our symbols, but the structure of the periodic table comes from quantum physics. That is universal. So you have some certain things that'll warm them up and give them some confidence that we have any intelligence at all.
That math more of the universal language than anything we could speak.
Exactly, and so you got to come equipped to communicate in that way.
And I guess there is this belief, as a final last quick question, if an alien civilization reaches us, that means they have reached a degree of sophistication that we have not. Is there then hope that perhaps that means they would also be enlightened and want to be friends?
I think that's a realistic hope. like I said, evil aliens is just us. Okay, and one concern I have is that every Hollywood rendering of aliens, most of them, are humanoid. And, they're gray, big eyes,
This guy over here.
Well, I love him hanging out the window, right?
Yeah.
But it's interesting, they never give him hair. I'm just intrigued by that, because if they're humanoid, they might have hair, a mustache or a beard, evil goatee beard.
Again, a complete failure to have researched the topic that he's claiming to be writing about or some kind of expert on. He doesn't understand. He's treating the gray like it's some kind of Hollywood creation. This is something that's been reported as real by hundreds of thousands of people going back for hundreds or thousands of years, depending on how far back you look and what you're looking at, all the way to indigenous cultures in South America and Africa have reported encountering grays. So either all of those people for all of that period of history, all around the world in unconnected cultures that were experiencing meeting beings with short stature, large heads, big eyes, small mouth, small holes for a nose, maybe some holes for an ear, for ears, sometimes in a tight-fitting black or silver suit, even down to illustrations and drawings that people have done hundreds and hundreds of years ago of what these beings look like. And they're more or less the gray, the iconic gray that we all recognize. But he also fails to notice that there are many other types of creatures that have been described by contactees, like many other types, many other body shapes. I'm thinking of like the Pascagoula encounter, for instance, is super weird. It's the weird. In fact, it's a weird outlier to me in terms of just overall encounter cases. But Pascagoula is one example where, what was it? They were fishing on the bank of the river, and then this craft appears, and they see this thing come out of it that is basically like a giant metal being with cones coming off of its head and a cone coming off of the front of its face. This thing has this craft has some kind of mechanical arms that they describe as moving around and trying to grab them. It was super strange. People have described beings that look like reptiles. People have described beings that look like humans or humanoid, but tall and skinny and white. All kinds of different little short hairy beings. I mean, there are a number of different body styles that people have described.
Maybe. All right, the new book, it's a great read. We've laughed aloud this whole segment. The book is Take Me to Your Leader, Perspectives on Your First Alien Encounter.
Man, that just seems like such a lame way to try and cover this. What do you guys think? Let's look at the chat. Lizard people, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti. I've always believed that Tyson is a disinformation agent in the vein of Operation Mockingbird. Look at his origin story with Carl Sagan. I cannot stand his smug ass. Good people Z123. Good peoples? Good peoples. Interesting comment. Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird was the CIA program to embed CIA agents that were directly on the CIA payroll in every newsroom in America to intercept stories, change them, modify them, plant stories, basically control the American news media landscape and influence the zeitgeist that way. Sea of Curls says, being a space scientist is not the same thing as being a ufologist. Someone tell him that. Interesting. Yeah. I think he's just, the people that I know in this space, the people that I talk to, are very serious people. They're genuinely curious. They are people who have been in their careers for sometimes 30, 40 years. at a very high level, doing a variety of different things across different disciplines. These are people who are very solid people. You would trust them to do a lot of them. You would trust them to do surgery on you. In some cases, brain surgery. There are people who you would trust. You do trust them to fly you around the country or fly you around the world. That are pilots that do this every day, and they're dead serious when they talk about this topic. So for him to just belittle it with all of the chuckle fest and the whole like don't shake their appendage. Yeah, you just don't know what the whole shtick. It feels very out of touch. It feels kind of weak, really. It's sort of like dated, like that whole playbook of belittling the topic by playing the X-Files music and showing the little green alien. They always show that, even if it's a person holding like a balloon and sticking it out the car. That's a classic move. The way that the media handled this in decades past was very similar to that. It was pretty much that across the board. If it was a local news show, they would interview the goofball person who is sort of like a ne'er-do-well. There might be 100 people who saw a crazy object in the sky, right? 100 people see an amazing sighting that is absolutely like blow your mind amazing. And out of that 100 people, 2 of them might be college professors. 3 of them might be, nurses or doctors. A couple might be police officers or former military. And, you'll have all of these various people, cross-section, right? And then they would go to the guy who was kind of like the town drunk or the weirdo. They'd find the strangest looking person. They would bring that person on and they'd be like, what'd you see? I saw a giant light in the sky. And I don't know. And they run with that. And that's what gets amplified. So that's when it comes to anything higher level, like what Avi Loeb is doing at Harvard with the Galileo project. I don't really hear him reacting to that. He's punching down. He's not punching at his own level, right? Like go engage Avi Loeb. And let's see that conversation. That would be a really interesting way to, engage with this community in a constructive way. I'm not saying I want Neil deGrasse Tyson to come around and admit that we're right and he is wrong and convert him into a UFO believer. That's not what I'm after. What I'm saying is I would like to see, it would be nice if in the spirit of, curiosity, in the spirit of spreading interest in science, that he engaged a little bit more diplomatically with this community. That's all. The fact that he's not doing that, and he has never really attempted to do that in any meaningful way, suggests to me that, as the commenter said, he is possibly working some kind of other angle here. Or maybe he just doesn't really give a shit, and that's just how he feels. I don't know, but you can't overthink this stuff. So I thought we would react to it. This is my reaction. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Let me see here. I'm reading your comments, catching up here. Some of you guys, your comments are crazy. Gaz Roth says NDT is a paid disinformation agent and quite possibly even more smug than Mick West. Well, he is smug. And that's the thing. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. There's no need to be a jerk, right? Like why? This is another thing I just don't understand between us, since we're just shooting the breeze here over a cup of delicious Night Shift coffee, which you can get at teamnightshift.com. It's the freshest coffee in the galaxy, anywhere on this planet for sure. By the way, before I roll into this next thought, hold on, where are my notes? huge shout out. This is just a middle of the show shout out to Mike B from Toledo, Ohio. Amazing. First of all, I love Toledo. And holy Toledo. Mike B is a subscriber. He subscribes to Night Shift Coffee. This is something you can do. Mike is part of the solution. He's really part of the answer here. I want you to be like Mike. When you subscribe to the coffee, you just get coffee delivered to you every month. You get a 10% discount. It's awesome. You get to support the show and you get some great coffee. It's a win-win. It's something that we can all feel good about. And it's genuinely amazing coffee. I really worked hard on this. I know you will love it. So the reviews are in and they're overwhelmingly positive. So be like Mike. Subscribe. Thanks, Mike, for being a subscriber. You're awesome. And I hope things are great in Toledo, Ohio. Okay. Yeah, I forgot where I was going before, so I'm just going to move on. TED Talk. AJ Crowley, I'll drink my Amazon coffee from my Night Shift mug. That's the next best thing. If you're going to do it, at least drink it from a Night Shift mug. Okay, so speaking of disinfo and paid shills and all of that stuff, there is this dude, Paranormal Chris. I'm in a group chat, and Xander shared this, and I'm going to see if I can share it with you guys here. I may have to pull it up on X. Jeremy Corbell's documentary dropped, and I haven't seen it yet, but it's already creating some drama online. I'm going to watch it tonight. Hang on a second. I'm leaning over to read something here. Eric Burleson just posted, this was the low-hanging fruit. Apollo 17 photos, pilot accounts, Predator drone footage. More is still classified, and I've seen some of it. If the administration doesn't release it, I will, under speech or debate. Interesting. That is interesting. Okay. Paranormal Chris. He says, oh, hang on a second. I got to find this. God, this guy's posting every 15 minutes. That's why I can't mess around on Twitter. Okay, here it is. Take a look. So Jeremy Corbell's documentary dropped, Sleeping Dog, and it's from what I've heard, it's awesome. The early gossip on this. It's a spicy meatball. I know Dan interviewed Jeremy, and he posted a clip from Others from Another Mother on his channel, which I will show a few seconds of, and we'll talk about it. It's really interesting. But I'm going to introduce you to some of the weird shit that's going online around this, and just talk about something related to this. So this is Paranormal Chris, Legacy Program VP. Jeremy Corbell is actively copyright striking video uploads of his documentary on YouTube, documentary in quotes, the same documentary that supposedly has 8 new UFO videos that he is hiding behind subscriptions to either Amazon or Apple TV. So much for transparency, and there is, quote, no money in UFOs, end quote, hypocrisy at its finest. And then he goes on to, he's just got a million posts like this. It's just a bunch of mean-spirited nonsense. And people ask me why I'm not more active on X. This is why. This is the kind of nonsense that is just so unnecessary. People getting really shitty and mean with each other. There were some people who tried to upload copies of the documentary online. I think one of our guys actually caught it on YouTube. I think it was Justin. Somebody noticed it yesterday. Wasn't it you, Justin? In our group chat, somebody had uploaded it, and then it had to get, they had to put a copyright strike on it. And then there was all this weirdness on Twitter. And this idea that there's no money in UFOs, or it's all about money, or it's some kind of weird money grab or whatever, is I just would like to speak to that as a person who's working in this space very diligently to do what it is that we're doing here. And I would tell you this, this is not where you go to make money. Like, this is not the kind of thing that is like, there's not a fortune waiting to be made in the UFO world. This is it's a weird space to operate in. It's very strange because half the people, you just don't know what to make of it. And a lot of of what it is they have to say, everything is based on, accounts of witnesses that you have to sort of, research and understand and know who they are and dig into their background and figure out, who these people are. Why are they important? Why does the information that they provide have validity over information that somebody else might provide? And, all of that. What Jeremy does is that service, right? Jeremy is a guy who spends 90% of his time completely laser locked on this one topic. He is like, the way that you see Jeremy Corbell when you see him in interviews, that is exactly who you meet when you meet him. And that's just how he is. He's intense. He's focused. He's very serious. He takes it very, very seriously. And it's funny because he gave me a bunch of stickers. The first time I met Jeremy, he was going around the bar. He was giving out these little stickers that say, they say, that's a fucking flying saucer. And it's got a little cartoon of a guy pointing over his shoulder at a flying saucer. And Jeremy's just going around handing these out to everybody. He's going, UFOs are real. UFOs are real. Hello, UFOs are real. UFOs are real. So this is his whole world. And if Jeremy Corbell, is investing this much time, energy, and effort and passion into this topic, God bless him. And I don't know, in regards to making money in this space, everyone is entitled to make a living. Everyone deserves to be compensated for their time and for their work. If you can figure out a way to do that, God bless you and go for it, I say. That is not the problem here. The real issue in this community is people who are paid to be dickheads and just be complete assholes and muddy up the whole process, the whole conversation. Paid agitators, those types of folks. And those people, the more you engage with them, the more traction they have. So I've found that it's best not to be there. Just don't present a target. And that's why I'm not on Twitter very often. And it's just a very toxic place. Even YouTube, just the amount of weird nonsense bullshit you get can be daunting from time to time. Grant Kemp says, I love Jeremy. I don't care how much hate the guy gets. He gets shit done and people trust him clearly. That's a fact. That is a fact. Jeremy is the kind of guy, he's got a really intense stare. When he looks at you, like you feel like you're under the gaze of Jeremy Corbell, like he is looking at you. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's intense. And when he starts talking about it, he's very serious and he gets kind of like quiet and he kind of just, when he gets quiet, you're like, oh shit, here it comes. But yeah, I haven't met anybody. Gerb is like that. Gerb is, in personality wise, different, but Gerb is every bit as committed and laser locked in on this, thinks about it all the time. This is like his passion. It's all he thinks about. And he's really good at discussing it. Once you learn the language that he's speaking and you can follow along. So to see someone throw shade at him like that, it's offensive to me as a creator, as an artist, as someone who is just genuinely interested in the space. I consider Jeremy a friend, and but that aside, the fact that this is a guy who clearly has dedicated his life to this, and he has put his face, he's put his personality, he's put his life out there in the public eye to take on this task of trying to break this information out of the prison that it's locked in and get it out to the rest of us. And he's been successful. That's the thing. He's doing a pretty good job. He's really good at what he does. I mean, he's trained by the best. He's trained by George Knapp. I mean, what else can you ask for? So, I don't know. I just think it's unnecessary. So when I see that kind of, it either manifests as jealousy or it's some kind of like paid agitator that's just out there to spread nonsense. And if it's not, and if it's just this, I don't know Paranormal Chris, but if it's just the guy who's just being a jerk, well, then fuck him too. Why? There's no need for that. Half the hate JC gets is from shills and players. Jamie Cox. Amuary 1264. Sleeping Dog isn't live on Amazon Prime yet in the UK. Making good quality documentaries costs money to make. I personally don't see what the issue is with Corbell and Knapp getting paid. I don't even know if they got paid. I don't know the. I need to look into this. I don't know who produced it. I don't know if that's his. Is that his movie, or was it? I mean, it's not his company that made the film. He's the subject of the documentary, as I understand it. It's not. But I haven't looked at any of that, so I can't speak to it. I just know that the time I've spent with him, he's the coolest guy I've met. He's Corbell is like he's like one of us, right? He's a regular person. He's just fanatical about this topic in a way that most of us don't have the time to be fanatical about it. Can anybody answer this question in the chat? The theatrics. Yeah, my favorite. This is a great favorite username. The Clint's mustache, which is actually is my mustache. The theatrics is the only thing that turns me off, but I do think he has helped the movement. I get it. He can be a little dramatic, but that drama, that dramatic energy is cool when you're in the room. It's really cool. When you're watching him on TV, I can understand how it might seem like he's hyping it a little bit because he gets excited. But when you're sitting around the campfire and you're telling stories and you're just kind of like hanging out, and he gets really into it, it's infectious, and you're just like you're leaning in. You're like, "Go, tell me more. What's going on?" So but I get it. I know sometimes that can read a little differently for different people. Jeff Wheeler says, I don't really know about the money aspect for UFO folks or even the agitators. I think it's just the cult of personalities and people's desire to flaunt their preferred narrative. Yeah, good point. I think so. When I created the channel and when I started doing the show, one of the things the thing that motivated me to do it was just trying to find other people who were interested enough in this topic to connect with on a more substantive level and have a conversation of some substance above what you could talk to, somebody at work about or somebody who's not really into it. I wanted to kind of create that club environment. And it only works because everybody else is part of it. That's what makes it, that's the glue. So yeah, everybody's got something to add, but I don't think any one person has the full picture. And when people start claiming that they've cornered it and this is, it's my way or the highway, I don't know. I just instinctually resist that. Magic Russ says the problem can be when the money making takes over the subject. Think that may be the case with Greer. Okay, yeah. So this is a common criticism with Stephen Greer, and I agree. Greer is. I looked at his website yesterday, or there was the day before. It was this week, last day or two. He has a event that the tickets are $7,500. It's a private evening with Stephen Greer, limited seats available, $7,500 per person to go and sit, I guess, at his palatial Virginia estate and hang out with Stephen Greer. And I saw this and I just thought to myself, can you imagine spending almost $8,000 to go to Stephen Greer's house, and then you're there on his like 100-acre, whatever, crazy compound, sitting in his 1,250 square foot living room, on a $15,000 couch. And then he's telling you, I imagine being there with like 6 people, and then he just starts telling you the same shit he's been saying for 25 years, which is pretty much what I've come to expect from Stephen Greer. Every time I see him talk, it's basically the same old song and dance. I would be really pissed. Hopefully it's not that, but he makes it. Greer is a guy who seems to me to be in the business of just talking about it. Like being the UFO guy is his business. I'm not saying he's playing a character, but it's the identity of like, I am the premier expert on this subject. And I think in years past, in an earlier time, maybe it's because he was younger and he was less well known, but Greer does have a charisma, and he does have a presence, and he can speak with authority, and he does. And he can also, he knows what he's talking about. So a lot of the ingredients that Stephen Greer brings to the table are excellent. And they're what you would expect and what you would want for someone in this space to be able to, conduct themselves well and push forward against all of the other, nonsense. But where it gets interesting is that somewhere along the way, the message stopped evolving. The information stopped, it never led anywhere, right? Nothing hasn't made any substantive impact in the overall process of getting information out to the people. It always seems to come packaged in his documentary or his thing, or something that he's got, and he has the final authority on what's real and what's not. And I think that's the thing that makes me uncomfortable. It's where he goes, look, I know what's happening, and I'm the only person who has accurate information. Anybody else that you hear telling you anything is either misinformed, or they are misinforming you, or they don't know what they're talking about, or they're being paid to lie to you. And I can't get behind that. So again, if you have a skill set and you have expertise in a certain field, and you can command a $7,500 ticket price and people are willing to pay it to come hang out with you, God bless you. Go for it. All day long, all day, all night. But that's not most people. And it's certainly not us. Maybe that works. I don't know. I guess it works because it's on his website. But I'll tell you this, most of the creators I know in this space, most of the people that I work with, that I would consider colleagues or friends that are just generally all people kind of in this space that are connected to this channel or their own channels, those people overwhelmingly tend to be very sensitive, artistic, creative people. They're artists, overwhelmingly artists. As I think about it now, almost every last one of them is a very good artist in one way or another. In fact, actually, I think if I remember right, Jeremy's quite the painter, which is interesting. But the thing that motivates those folks seems to be a genuine passion for wanting to. there seems to be a deeply rooted sense that there must be something more than this, than 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, sitting at your office, just clunking away, clicking a keyboard, doing the same thing over and over. Like that there has got to be a larger reality, and they sense it, they feel it, they know it intuitively. You guys feel it, I do too. We all kind of know it, and it's just out of reach. It's just something. It's almost like knowing that there is a door, a secret door somewhere that is going to open to a room where there are like guys training like ninjas in a James Bond movie. And if you could just find that door, someone's going to find it, and it's there. We know the ninjas are real. We know they're somewhere around. There have been ninja sightings. People have seen a shadow here, maybe a shuriken there. The famous ninja parade. Look it up. It's a real thing. But we haven't proven it yet. I don't know. I feel like that's it, the curiosity of an artist who's trying to understand and comprehend the unexplained and put it into some other, convert it, transmute it into some other form. And I think there's real value there. That's really, in a way, more valuable than what Stephen Greer has to offer right now. In the early days, when he was first getting popular and coming on the scene, I was a fan, and I followed him for all the interviews that he did. But yeah, somewhere around, I don't know, the last like 5-10 years, he seems very, very negative on everybody else that has come into the space. And I feel like that's an unnecessary thing. Clint's mustache, GTS. What's up with the Clint's mustache thing? Gerb for the win. Apocalypse Promotions. You got to be fanatical to get shit done. You do. Thank you. You have to be. David Voigt says you have to do some kind of storytelling to get people interested. You do. You have to be a good storyteller. And I think that's why artists do a great job dealing with this topic. They are comfortable with the idea of, they're comfortable working with the unknown and just letting shit happen and finding the meaning later. It's the other side of it. There's nuts and bolts, but then there's the human need to digest and understand and make meaning of the larger picture. And that's where the artist plays a very key role. Deputy Stink, are we a cult asking for a friend? I don't know. Are we a cult? Would you say that? Yes, I'm reading messages. Can you meet a real alien in an alien parade? What do you guys think? Okay, so I'm just curious. What do you guys think about this? It's been kind of a hot subject in the last couple of weeks. They walk among us. This idea that they walk among us. There are either human alien hybrids that look indistinguishable from a regular human being, that with modified DNA, that are somehow out there among us in the general population. Some of us may have encountered them in our day-to-day lives, and we didn't even know it. Do you think that's a real thing? I'm curious. Let me know in the chat. I'm curious what you think. Wrath of Kent even says, I believe they do walk among us. Ooh, interesting. Are aliens going to have to start carrying identification cards that prove they're aliens? ABMQA says, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Ashla Studios, I am sold on They Walk Among Us. It makes sense, to be honest. Yeah, without the box of sunglasses, we can't prove that they walk among us. Jeff Wheeler. Robert Bigelow was one of the first people to coin the phrase, and yes, I believe it. Oh, man, the chats are going crazy. I'm trying to keep up, but they're so fast. Blah, 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 blah. Grelch says, I watched the Corbell documentary last night. I thought it was pretty damn good. It definitely gave me more appreciation for what Jeremy is up to. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. They drive among us. Maybe that's why Arrow says they're not extraterrestrial, because they've been living here. The Wrath of Can't Even dropping truth bombs. Yeah, and to some degree, I think that the idea that they walk among us is the most uncomfortable and weird part of this. And I do have reservations about it. There are parts of me that it's like, I mean, how I want to know how that works. I'm open to the possibility. I just don't understand how it would work. I mean, I guess I'm the understanding that I have is from David Jacobs saying basically it's a hybridization program. You get to a certain point in that program, you get to a generation of hybrids, he calls them, that look just like us, except they can reach out and influence your thoughts, and you cannot do the same back to them. So they have this one critical advantage over the rest of us, and they can completely blend into a crowd of people and disappear like any other person. Okay. God, if that's true, then it goes a long way towards explaining all of the secrecy and all of the cover-up, because you could have embedded hybrid agents anywhere. Like, how would you even know? Like, I mean, imagine just that one thing. And if that turned out to be true, how world-changing that would be. It would reshape the entire way we have to look at everything. I mean, how would you have trust in a society where you don't know who's who? I mean, God, I can imagine it'd be crazy. I like to approach this topic as with a certain degree of detachment. And I like to treat it like a science fiction universe that I am participating in, but some percentage of it is real. And I just can't put my finger on what percentage of it is. We know some percentage of it is true. We're pretty sure we know the parts of it that are true, more or less, because there's sort of there's a center of gravity around those. And, there are just so many various reports over the years that seem to suggest, yeah, there is an abduction phenomenon. It is ongoing. It has been going on for a long time. Too many people have talked about it. There's just too much out there for me to write that off. So, some percentage of this is real. I think that's a piece of that. I think a part of that is the abduction phenomenon. That's part of it. Yes, another percentage of it, another part of it that's real. Yes, there are physical craft. Yes, they are coming here from somewhere else. And yes, they have creatures inside. Okay, those are, that's general enough and true enough that I think those are some kind of foundational things that you could start to work with. And then if you go as far as saying they're here and they're real, or they're real and they're here, the next logical step is it's not just one. Why would it just be one kind? It's not just the grays. It's now as soon as you go past that line, now you're in a world where it could be, I mean, you could have anything. You could have little, you could have grays, you could have Nordics, you could have humanoids, you could have, things that don't look humanoid at all. You could have, it's just a wide open conversation about what could be in there. So as you go along the path of trying to understand the phenomenon, and you start to realize that certain things are definitely real, even in broad, general, ill-defined terms, just the fact that those realities are accepted now and we can go on to the next step and start talking about them, just acknowledging those opens up your world. It is in many ways like being in the Matrix and sort of realizing that you're in it. It's like you realize, oh, this is, and it's not, it's even more of a mind fuck because it's not like you can say, I just fell down the internet hole and I lived on YouTube for 6 days and all I watched were UFO videos and I got really into it. And now I come out of my fucking, office and I'm just like in this headspace where I'm all in it now. And I'm just like, oh my God, there's an alien under every rock. It's not like that. That would be easier. In fact, that would be an easier situation to deal with because you could contain that and you could like reverse it. We are not in that situation. The situation that we're in is where it was like that. And then the president said, yeah, they're real. And then the other president said, that's classified. He shouldn't have said that. And then another person said, oh, Project Gilgamesh. Oh, this, that. We start getting into this whole thing. And then that's how you get to Neil deGrasse Tyson going on television, shilling his book. But basically kind of having to come around on this and say, yeah, there is a there. I can't. There's so many people must have challenged him on this topic by now that at this point he's got to publicly flip it and reverse it. I can't see any other way around it. Oh, okay. ABMQA. I've been seriously considering Steve Mera's theories regarding UAP phenomenon. He sort of aligns with Jacques Vallée. I like Steve. I like Steve Mera. I had Steve on the show a while ago. It was a long time ago. I need to get him back. Steve is great. He's another one of those guys who is just so up to his eyeballs in this subject. He is all in 110%. And he also does a ton of stuff. This guy's working all the time. He did a great project. Steve Mera and his team, I don't know where I forget what the name of it was, if anybody can find it, but he went to Peru to investigate the mummy situation before anybody else was going down there to look at it. He was one of the first early people to go look at the Peruvian mummy deal. And he quickly concluded that it was a scam, but it was a sort of an elaborate scam where they were building mummies out of bits and pieces that they would get from, veterinarian offices and, hospitals and that kind of thing. There is a black market underground sort of economy for body parts and weird shit. And and Steve looked into this and we talked about it on the show. There were places in Peru, the Peruvian government knows about it and they're aware of it. It's something that they're dealing with or trying to, but there are places where they basically build these mummies, and a little mummy sells for about 100,000 and a big mummy, a full-size mummy, would sell for about $1 million. And there are people around the world who spend significant money to buy these things. And it's enough, believe it or not, that there's a real business in it. And it actually includes a lot of people. There's a whole production chain. But Steve Mera is cool. He's a paranormal investigator. He's one of these guys who goes out into the field with like a full Ghostbusters kit of equipment, and he's measuring like his own. Steve's crazy. He's measuring his own brain waves. He has like a headset that he puts on like Egon, and he's like measuring his brain waves. And then he goes out and he'll like go to an area where there are sightings, and then he'll try to like investigate the area, and he'll record his own brainwave activity. And if he has an interaction with something while he's there, he correlates that with what's going on with his own data. It's wild. Like, I was genuinely, I will say this. Actually, it's funny you brought Steve Mayer up because I haven't thought about him in a while. But I was genuinely not only impressed, but he's also he's got a real cool television charisma. He presents really, really well. And he's just sort of captivating to talk to. He's a great storyteller. And yeah, I'm going to reach back out to Steve. Thanks for the heads up on that. Two Wolves says, please kick Neil deGrasse Tyson in the junk for me if you see him selling his book at Contact in the Desert. I doubt we're going to see him selling his book at Contact in the Desert, but I will definitely give him, I would definitely write a strongly worded email. I think that's where I'm at. I'm not looking for trouble. I don't want any bullshit with anybody. Why can't we all be friends? Can't we just be friends? Can we all just hang out and talk about weird stuff? Why does it have to be combative? It shouldn't be that way. There's no reason. Ashla Studios, another comment, great comment. Big question is how much they influence our day-to-day lives. It's one thing if they've isolated from us in an underground base, and something else if they've embedded within our institutions. Yes, now you're talking. So now you're getting to the real core of this whole thing, right? Which is like if there was and this is what Jacob said in Walking Among Us. He goes, well, if you have a hybridization program, right? You're abducting people, you're taking genetic material, you're creating a breeding program, you're creating offspring, harvesting those, and then the abductees come back on board the craft many times over a period of years, like a lifetime, up until 40s or 50s. There are far fewer reports of older people past like 50, 55 being taken, although I'm sure it still happens, but it seems to be focused during the reproductive years, taken again and again. And then when they're brought back subsequent times, shown the hybrid kids, like actually introduced to the offspring. And what's really weird is the way in Jacob's work, when he studied this, he found that the way people talked about it, they said that the beings, the Greys, would bring these little kids in, and they looked weird. The way they would describe it is they looked, the early ones, they looked sick. They looked like little sick, like they have the flu, and they're just sort of like weak, and their hair is really stringy, and they're just like kind of not emaciated, but they just underdeveloped. You would not look at this child and think this is a healthy child. You would look at this kid and think something's going on here. We need to get this kid to a doctor. And that's how the early ones were described. But then in later abductions, they go on to talk about future versions of these hybrids that they run. They're other people across different, parts of the world that have been interviewed about this. Jacobs looks at the patterns and he starts to uncover this sort of thread. And he says that as time goes on, the hybrids that people report meeting, the kids, look more and more human until they get to a point where they look just like a regular human. And he talks about how once that occurs, he says when they're on the ship and the aliens will bring the hybrid kids into the room with a human abductee, the aliens will look at the human abductee like the way we look at a panda when we're trying to get a panda to like mate with another panda. Like, okay, do the thing, do the human thing. Do the thing where you love the child and the child gets the spark of life and becomes a human child, like they want Pinocchio to wake up. It's almost like that, right? The way it's kind of conveyed. And the humans look at the kids and go, I don't know what to do with this child. I don't know how to relate to this kid. I don't have any connection to this child. I feel like it might be connected to me somehow, but there seems to be this weirdness. And the kids don't know how to be children. They've been raised in a sterile environment where they have no contact with anybody else that's not like them. So then when they finally are ready to go to our society and integrate into it, he talks about this process where they're paired up with an abductee, and the abductee acts as sort of like I don't want to say like a parole officer, but they're sort of like a liaison. They're sort of like a camp counselor for the hybrids. And they are to teach them how to walk and talk like a person who lives here in the world and is, like you live in Toledo, Ohio, and you How do you go to the store, and how do you buy groceries without looking like a complete weirdo? And how do you go, you need to be able to fit in. And if you don't grow up here, you don't organically come equipped with that social knowledge, and that it's not a part of you the way it is so these are people that Jacobs describes as being supremely out of place, and they don't often know very simple things. They seem to not understand really simple, basic things. And it's interesting. It's kind of a weird trope from like time travel movies or like Doctor Who episodes or something, where someone will go back in time and then they just don't have the context to understand what's happening in that place in that moment. So they kind of like just, some hilarity ensues. He describes it like that. He says, it'll be something really, really strange. Like they'll look at a bowl of rice at a restaurant and they won't understand what rice is. They'll be like, what is that? They just don't know. Like they've never seen rice. They've never heard of rice. That, one of the most basic staple foods on the planet is just not part of their world. That kind of a thing. And this will be someone who's like a 45-year-old adult, just acting like, what is that? I don't know what that is. That kind of thing. Really weird. And supposedly the abductees are supposed to guide them on the process. And the way he talks about the abductees that he interviews, they say that process is not at all fun like you might think. It's not like Perfect Strangers with Balki Bartokomous, where he comes over and they're like trying to figure out how to, like, it's the original Odd Couple, like they're just living in an apartment having fun, being wild and crazy guys. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the abductee goes to this apartment where there are like 5 or 10 hybrids living in an apartment. So I feel like it must feel really weird, like going into an apartment with a bunch of like religious, cult people, and you're suddenly like there, and then answering question after question after question, sometimes thousands of questions over and over, like getting pepper sprayed by like 100 toddlers. Just why does one thing look like this? Why does the spoon look like this and the fork looks like this? Well, why do I stab my food? Well, why don't I pick it up with my hand? Or what, that kind of question and answer session that just goes on for hours and hours and hours. And abductees are actually taken and brought to these places and put in front of kids. And that's their whole job. Explain how the TV works. What is the TV? Why do we have one? What is on the TV? Who are those people? Do they live inside the TV? Do they, what are they talking about? And as the parent of a toddler, I can imagine that would drive me absolutely insane. But that's such a weird story. So strange, so bizarre. Brian Park, TR3B. Hey, man. Terry Lovelace roomed with a hybrid alien woman. Did he room with a hybrid alien woman? Is that part of the story with Terry? I read his book at Devil's Den, Incident at Devil's Den, and I watched a bunch of interviews with him. I didn't know about that. I'd be interested to know more. Gerbio is a Nordic. Yes, thanks, Mr. Justice. Gerbio is a Nord. I'm catching up on the chat here. The mustache is never done. The mustache is never done. The mustache is a lifestyle. The mustache is a commitment. It's a responsibility. If you're going to have a mustache, you have to commit to a lifestyle built around maintaining it, trimming it, being aware of it, studying mustaches, learning how to deal with it. It's a whole thing. I'm glad to see mustaches are coming back. I like to think I play a small part in that. But it's a great hairstyle if you can pull it off. I can't not have a mustache. I shaved my mustache, and my wife and kid were just like, no, they were like, don't grow it back. It's too weird. What I'm concerned about is how are these, this is Nick Thomas 684, how are these different from shape-shifting lizard people? Shape-shifting lizard. The shapeshifter thing is really interesting. I don't know, guys. How do you guys feel about shape-shifting reptilians as a part of the lore, UFO lore? I imagine many of you occasionally in your social media feeds come across the same video or similar videos that I have of like what appeared to be people on TV briefly glitching into some kind of a lizard person. And I've seen a number of these over the years. And my impulse, my instinct, and my general sense is that most of the time it's JPEG artifacting. It's some type of compression algorithm that was running on a digital, server somewhere where the media was passing through. And, there's a lot of steps in broadcasting from getting something from like the studio to YouTube. A lot of things happen. And there are many opportunities for digital artifacts to get introduced into some of those clips and to make it look like, just a weird, in a lot of cases, it just looks glitchy. But every once in a while, you'll see one where it's like their eye looks like it changes to like a reptilian eye or something. And I always wonder about those. I'm like, I've never seen anybody do anything like that in real life. So I don't have any like real life context to put that in. But I imagine the people who talk about having seen it, some of them are pretty famous. I think, was it Billy Corgan? Didn't Billy Corgan say he saw a reptilian, a girl changed into it? Was it Billy? Maybe it was, I forget. A couple different rock stars have said it. Brian, hang on. There are HD videos out there where the eye changes, one from an alien organization that is endorsed by the Catholic Church. Ooh, interesting. Hey, link us to that. If you have a link of a cool reptilian video, link me to it. I want to show you a clip. I have two clips I want to get to before we wrap up today, and I have to do them quick because we're going to be done here in about 15 minutes. Brian Park TR3B, Lovelace identifies her as a hybrid, noting her appearance reminded him of a small, short woman wearing a wig and large glasses with features distinct from both classic gray aliens and humans. Now, were they roommates or were they in a thing? Did they have a thing, or was it like a just platonic kind of a roommate situation? Asking for a friend. Kyle Odom. Oh yeah. Yeah, that story's crazy. This guy claimed that he saw reptilians and then he went insane, and that was a weird one. Yes, Billy Corgan. Okay, so confirmed. It was Corgan. Billy Corgan via Tia Tequila. Tia Tequila. The wife loves my salt and pepper beard. So happy wife, happy life. Heiser Soze. Robbie Williams. Robbie is another one. So we're trying to get Robbie on the show. I might know a guy who knows a guy. I'm just saying. Watch the space. Tia Tequila was only speculation who Corgan was talking about. So was he saying it was Tia Tequila that was the reptile? Is that what I'm to understand here, or am I missing that? Brian Park. Okay, Terry Lovelace's hybrid. She is reported to have engaged in a long-term connection with him, intervening in his life, such as warning him against removing an implant from his leg. That's interesting. Terry Lovelace. This is the thing. I think the Greys don't need to abduct people to get genetic material. This is one of my other issues with this whole thing. The Greys need to understand that humans will fuck them. And I think it's very likely that if you just openly made contact, you would find very quickly there are more than a few humans who would be glad to fuck an alien. and would have, you'd probably actually be, you'd probably, because once you say it, you can't unsay it, you know, once you guys like make contact. And maybe that's why they do abductions. I don't know, but I have a feeling it's not as hard as they are making it out to be. And maybe that's the reason they do it this way. I don't know. Corgan said he was in bed with said reptile at the time. Fillet of soul. No discussion of Dan's symbiotic thing. No, I've got it right here. We're going to talk about it. Hang on. Let's talk about the symbiotic thing. All right, we'll move on. By the way, it's almost 2 hours. We're going to wrap up at about the 2 hour mark. There's almost 500 people in here. God bless you. You guys are awesome. I love this crowd. You were fantastic. Thank you for hanging out with me on a Wednesday afternoon. Do me a favor. If you haven't hit the like button yet, please do. It spikes the algorithm for us. It just gives it a little goose, and that is awesome. The last time we did it about an hour ago, we went from like 150 people to 450 people. So if we do it again, who knows? Who knows? It's like a choose your own adventure book or a game. We can all participate. And the winner is all of us. We all win. Help me win the game of making Night Shift financially sustainable by sharing and getting more subscribers. Okay, so let's take a look. Dan interviewed Jeremy on Others from Another Mother podcast. I want you guys also, if you support what I'm doing and you like the Doomer Fridays podcast that we do, and you're a fan of this kind of conversation, please do me a favor and go support my good friend Dan Cleary over at Others from Another Mother. I'm going to share his clip right now. Let me just get, what is this? Am I in the wrong? Symbiotically manipulated. Here we go. Where is it? Why is my tab not sharing? Hang on a second, guys. Let me do this one more time. Sorry. I built that up and then. Okay, here we go. There it is. Okay, so a little backstory on this. Jeremy, it was on Dan's show, and I have not seen this complete interview. I don't think he's dropped it yet. This is just the first clip that I've seen, but the document that he's going to show here, he told me about, and we were all kind of like chewing on this. Didn't know what to make of it. This is crazy. Take a listen and check this out. This is something that's featured in the new documentary, and which I have not seen yet, but I will watch and tell you all about it. Check it out.
This popped up on screen. I turned around. I said, "What was that?" Go back to that. What was that? So let me read this. Proposed activities. A site investigation should be undertaken to determine if alien inorganic compounds or other biochemicals have been disposed of at this site, and to determine the presence and or extent of any soil and groundwater contamination that may be the result of material disposed of at this site. And here's the part that I've thought about this every day for the last 2 months since I've seen this. This line here. Local residents should be checked for evidence that they are being symbiotically manipulated by surviving aliens. What the fuck is this?
Good question.
Yeah, and there's some phone numbers on here, which if people watch the film, I've thought about this every day for the last 2 months since I've seen this. This line here. Local residents should be checked for evidence that they are being symbiotically manipulated by surviving aliens. What the fuck is this?
Good question.
Yeah, and there's some phone numbers on here, which if people watch the film, feel free to call and see what you get.
Hunting.
Yeah, what is this? What can you say about this?
Yeah, so what I can say is that the biological aspect of the UAP thing is the most guarded. It's a part that people talk about, but I really don't know many people that I trust that have engaged that aspect of the UFO phenomenon. But David Grush even went up and talked under oath about biologics and about pilots of craft, right? That some of these craft were manned or whatever. So George and I have over the years collected our best information and evidence on biologics. Obviously, we haven't reported on it. There's nothing that we're like, this definitely has to come out.
Nothing. You have
a little bit, but like we have nothing like this, right? So this is from a cleanup. And what I can say is that there is a protocol and a process to do biological cleanups of contaminated sites that deal with the NHI craft and that kind of thing. I do not know for sure if this document is legitimate, and Michael kind of put it in the movie, and it's good. We'll start the conversation now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot more to it than just this. What I do know is that I have found people associated with these documents because the documents had everything. They had the order numbers, they had the scientists involved with the cleanup, they had the full scope of the cleanup, where it was, what they were doing.
Because I know there's more to this than just this.
Yeah. That's one innocuous piece of paper. But when you're searching something like this, first of all, I'm going back a number of decades, and we have authenticated that these are real accounts, there's a real program, and this was a real cleanup. Then you get the people that were there, because this came into a secure facility, this set of documents, and there was a reaction to it. So
I would think so.
There was, yeah. So, and I've further over the last, maybe 8 or 9 years, spoken with a number of people who their job for, 30 years is doing these contamination cleanups from high sensitivity sites. And I've learned a lot about it now, that there's certain protocols that are done when something is non-classified or unclassified. And then there's other protocols when you're doing cleanups of, classified programs or sites. This has all the hallmarks of being real. And George and I will report, I'm sure, on what we've done over the years to investigate this one. It's shocking. It was so shocking to me that my gut reaction was to dismiss it. And that was a mistake, because it turns out, it was a very real cleanup program.
I mean, I know a very little bit about the background of this, but when you say contamination cleanup, what kinds of things would constitute a contamination cleanup? Like, what would that be needed for?
So I didn't say that. That's in the document, right? So
right.
Just making sure. So this happened to be a cleanup surrounding a fire that had happened. And people will, I'm sure, figure that out and dig in. I'm hoping more people come to me who have knowledge of this event and this cleanup.
I hope so too. I mean, this is really one of the most riveting things I've seen.
Yeah, what it says there, symbiotic. Yeah, I mean,
symbiotically manipulated, which, I mean, it sounds like something getting into groundwater,
right,
that could get into human beings, that could take control of somebody. Is that what's kind of implied? I mean, I don't know what's implied here. That's why I have 1,000 questions.
I'll tell you something that I haven't, so one of the individuals that I know that's been doing this for 30 years, I was pushing for a couple years, and I said, what kinds of things would you be worried about in these classified programs that would get out into the environment? What could it do? And a pal said to me, alter human DNA. And I said, and that's all they gave me. So I think the fear was that some of these materials, these biological materials, could actually alter. This is just going to make you more hungry, and I have no answers after this, but alter human DNA.
Guys, do me a favor, please. If you would be so kind, it would mean the world to me, and I know it would mean the world to Dan. Go to Others from Another Mother and subscribe to this channel. Dan is awesome. He is one of the good guys. He is one of the coolest people. He is so deeply knowledgeable about this topic, and his specific area of focus and expertise is on contactees and experiencers. That is his thing. And the abduction experience. He is 110% all in on understanding this, talking to people who have been involved. This guy, I don't know how much he's talked about this, but this guy has driven like thousands of miles to just go pick up like documents and things to research a case. Like this, he's 100% into this. And his channel is criminally undersubscribed. I don't know what this is. This is crazy. He has 2.73 thousand subscribers, whatever, 45 videos. He should have at least 50,000 subscribers by now. So please go there and check it out. He's awesome. And he doesn't post super frequently, but when he does, they're always amazing drops and very, very cool. And you can see him on Fridays, on Doomer Fridays here at Night Shift. But yeah, what a crazy clip and what an interesting tidbit. A cleanup that contains some kind of biological contamination that they were concerned would get into the groundwater, and then if it made it into the population nearby, it could alter possibly their DNA. Some kind of I don't know what would do that. A virus, I guess, or some kind of like weird nanotechnology. I guess I could imagine something like that. But that would affect people through their groundwater contamination. If that's true, now, if it seems like Jeremy is very confident that this is worth looking at, and he seems to think it's got legs. If that's true, then we're dealing with a whole nother layer. I mean, that would be like the hybrids, finding out the hybrids are real, and then finding out, oh, wait, there's something that can get in the water, and if you consume it, it can actually change your DNA in a meaningful way that it would be so important that to lock that down that they would have to test the groundwater and make sure none of this shit got into it, because if it did, that could blow the lid off the whole thing. It would manifest probably as some kind of weird medical problem, some outbreak in a remote area or some place that, wherever this was, which makes you wonder about things like that have happened in the past. Very weird. Okay. I'm gonna leave this. I'll leave you guys with one last clip, and then we can talk about that before we wrap up. But I just want to share this with you. This was something that I found. I was doing some research on something completely different, and if I can find my tab, this is a guy who claims to have footage from inside a craft, and that was actually shot inside of a craft. And here we go. And I want to share this with you because I want to get your honest take on this. All right, so I'm going to show you this clip. Now, this is from a show that I just found out about called Saucers and Saints. And Saucers and Saints, this video is an interview with Florida MUFON State Director Matt Kellison, and I am in Florida. So I'm going to reach out to Matt also about this. I'm going to follow up on this with him. And he's talking about a lot of different things. One of the things he's talking about is a mysterious sphere that was filmed over the Sarasota airport, which is my airport. I'm about 5 miles from it right now, and some other weird stuff. But the most interesting thing about this is this case that you're going to hear about right now. And he talks about a guy who contacted MUFON and said that he had found footage on his phone that he believed had been recorded while he was being abducted. And he was going through his phone and he found this. He had no recollection of ever recording it, but he recognized something that's present in the video as a cell phone tower that is near where he lives, that's visible from where he lives. Okay. And this is going to make more sense when you see it. So when you see this footage, just know that it's grainy. It's very grainy. And supposedly, according to this claim, it is footage, about 47 seconds of footage shot from inside of a craft. and you can see. Well, I'll just show it to you, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Take a look at this. But I have to say, I love this channel.
You know, we've talked about some of the sightings cases and even the crazy Otterman cryptid case, which is wild. You had a case that I don't know how much you can talk about if you know got some confidentiality, but someone that had a contactee case that was very, very interesting. I think you know which one I'm referring to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's maybe you can roll that one out.
All right. Yeah. So this gentleman, he contacted me back in last November 2024, and he told me that, you know, he has this video taken from inside a craft.
From inside a craft.
From inside a craft that, you know, was taken during an abduction. And, you know, I'd never heard of anything like that before. You know, it doesn't fit the typical, you know, abduction, you know, what I normally hear from experiencers. And, you know, I told him, of course, yeah, I'm interested. And then finally in this past spring, he submitted his case to MUFON. So because I'd already had contact with him in November, I took the case. So it's there's a nuts and bolts investigation portion to it, and then which is, you know, the sighting portion, and then there's also the experiencer portion, and they're typically done separately, but since I'm doing both sides of it, I kind of did them both at the same time. But the story goes that the incident, he discovered the video while he was sitting on his deck of his townhome. He lived in Key West, Florida at the time, and he was going through his phone looking at deleting old pictures and stuff, and he came across this video that he had no idea was even on his phone. And he opened it up, and, you know, it's weird.
Holy crap. Holy crap. It's crazy. Fuck. Holy crap. Holy crap.
This guy is so high. He's so high right now. That's supposedly a gray right there. That right there. And then supposedly there's something down here. There you go. Now, supposedly, the light that you're seeing, this blinking red light, is a screen on the wall of the craft that's showing the cell phone tower outside, and this thing is hovering outside, floating about 110 feet up, they estimate, is how high the cell phone tower is. So if that's where they're looking straight out, that's where they would be. But it also looks like there's a ceiling fan in here. On the top right here, you can see it's pretty hard to miss.
Holy crap.
Xander called this out immediately when I showed it to him. He goes, what the fuck is this ceiling fan right there? So this, it could be he's on board a UFO looking out a window and there's a gray here. But then if that were true, there's no sound, which seems really weird. You'd think there'd be some kind of audio other than like the air conditioner sound. So my next guess is this guy ate way too many edibles. He's looking out the sliding glass door of his apartment or his house at the cell phone tower that they just built right outside his apartment complex, because there's no danger there. And this guy is just shooting out of his own living room. He's just tripping balls. But I don't know. You never know. It could be. Maybe that's a gray. We'll send it to Neil deGrasse Tyson and see what he has to say. One too many gummies. That's when you're supposed to do like, I don't know. How many gummies are you guys doing? Who's 10 milligrams per 3-4 gummies? If I do 4, I'm down for the count. 4 puts me out. 4 indica gummies and I'm melting into the couch, and I would think I would be shooting this video. I'd be like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? Oh my God. On Tubi, trying to watch RoboCop. 1,000 milligrams or go home. Who the fuck are you, dude? That's insane. 10 to 12 gummies. Good Lord. Wow. All right, then. I guess I'm a lightweight. 10 to 12? They only come 10 to a pack. God. Or maybe I'm buying the wrong gummies. Yeah, stoned off his noggin. Okay, so the commenters have spoken. Everyone's calling it bullshit. What was the other one? There was the guy. Now there was the other guy, and I don't remember his name right now. Someone in the chat tell me what it is. It was the dude who supposedly saw an alien while he was in the woods with his dog, and I think it attacked his dog. It somehow hurt his dog, and then he wound up hitting it, according to the story, this alien, in the back of the head with a shovel, like Bruce Campbell style, and then wraps it in a space blanket and drags this thing back to his house, and it's in his garage. And then he has this is all shot in the mid 1990s or early 90s with a VHS camcorder, and he's shooting video of this creature, and you can see its eyes it looks like it's made out of paper mache. And at first you're looking at it like, this just looks like there's no way this could be real, but it moves in a way that is very hard to imagine. I mean, it's a very awkward thing to see. Jonathan Reed, heavy breather. Where did he get the space blanket? I don't know. I mean, I've got I got a couple space blankets laying around. Some people keep them in their car. I used to keep one in my car. Okay. All right. We'll leave it there, guys. It's been about 2 hours and 10 minutes. That's all I got time for today. And I'm sure you have other things that you'd rather get on with. But this has been fun. It's nice to check in with you guys once a week. And we didn't do it last week, so I had to catch up. Some really cool interviews are coming up. James Landoli is going to be with us on Friday, on Doomer Friday. He's going to be joining us, our special guest on the panel. Very excited to talk to James. I've been a big fan for a long time. It's going to be cool to actually hang out and engage with him. So come back and join us on Friday. And then I think the week after that, I've got an amazing talk I did with cultural futurist Jasmine Bina. I'm very excited to share that with you. It's a little different than what we normally do here on the channel, but Jasmine is an amazing thinker and speaker on cultural futurism and some of the weirder aspects of how we relate to the larger world through our media ecosystem and the groups that we tend to form with each other. And it's a very deep conversation about some really interesting topics. I know you'll enjoy it. What else can I tell you? In the meantime, that's it for now. I'm going to be doing another video drop tomorrow afternoon. That should go up. And we've got an interview coming up this weekend with Captain Ron from Contact in the Desert. I'm going to be dropping that. It was a great conversation. He talks about contact, the origin, how it all came to be, and what we can expect for this year at what I am coming to understand is like the Burning Man of ufology, or like the I don't know what you would call it. Very excited though. We just had our first big meeting on it yesterday, and it's like all hands on deck. That's it for now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't be a stranger. Don't be shy. Fire it up. I read them all. If I can, I'll respond. If you have something cool to say, I'll do my best to respond. Let me know what you think about Dan's clip. Alien parasites, DNA modifying hybrid nanotechnology. I don't know. Tell me what you think about that. Curious what you think about Neil deGrasse Tyson's response, his book. Do you guys plan on reading it? Are you interested in hearing more from Neil, or would you like him to just bugger off to wherever it is that Neil goes when he's not on television promoting something? Let me know. Don't forget to share these clips and subscribe if you really want to be supportive and awesome. And if you're nasty and you want to really be supportive of the show, you can go to teamnightshift.com, pick up a cool shirt, a sleeveless shirt, if you're into that, and a sticker, coffee mug, or you can get our awesome exclusive Night Shift coffee. The beans are green and fresh until you order, and then they are roasted for you and shipped to your door within 48 hours. It's the most magical thing ever, personally selected by me to be the best cup of black coffee in the world. It's coffee so good, you can leave the cream and sugar the fuck out. We don't need that. It's just straight black coffee for us here at the Night Shift. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Keep looking up. Bye, guys.